Hello, welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts Vertec and Chippy are back from their latest adventure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Vertec, discuss Ashes of Creation and important topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. Today is the 17th of November, 2023. We're on episode 188, called this one Control Your Envy. And today we have DA from Enveus with us.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Pretty good. Excited to be back here. It's been a while, but I enjoy coming on every time that I'm here.
Hey, and likewise, we like having you. The fearful leader of Enveus here. Second time we've had you on, I believe. I believe it's the second time. Has it been 3? I think it's 2. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's 2 or 3. I don't know, man. We've been following Ashes for so long, like I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of bleeds together.
It all bleeds together. Yeah.
Well, this is the first time we see a lovely face on here, so joy for that. And speaking of lovely faces, the other one over here is Chibi Bree. How are you today?
I'm all right.
Oh,
Feeling a little under the weather.
Yeah, besides being a sicko. So whatever it was, I brought it back from the north and I shared it with you, so sharing is caring. And
no, it's not.
It's not how you're feeling about it right now? I'm sorry.
No.
Boy. So, what do we have on tap today?
A great question.
You want me to go over through the topics?
Go for it.
Okay. So yeah, we're looking at talking about some node/freehold/economy info, then a little bit of combat, and then some random stuff. What Ashes of Creation community wants to see. And before we get to that, though, yeah, for those who may not know you, who may not have seen your face or heard your voice, who are you? What do you do? And what is this Enveus we speak of?
Who am I? So just to give starters, my name is DA. I am leader of Enveus Guild. We are a competitive MMORPG guild that spans across multiple games. We play a lot of different MMOs that have kind of that PBX, that offers that PBX play style. We have a lot of members from crafters to gatherers to raiders and things like that. And we're very excited for Ashes of Creation. We have over $100,000 invested in the packages between all of us, and I believe we have over 300 signups for Alpha 2 right now currently. So we're just really excited for next year. I know that they said 2024 we're getting the Alpha 2, and this stream we're supposed to be getting the date or the quarter for the date for Alpha 2. So really excited about that, going into the new year, having that kind of like all hands on deck meeting and prepping out the plans and everything we're going to be doing for the year going forward. So yeah, there's just a lot of exciting things coming up, and we can't wait to hit the ground running.
Yeah. I know you guys got a whole lot of people who are super active in the community, all out and about every which way. And man, 100K invested in the packs between everybody. That's bananas when you think about it.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, man, I need to start my own MMO.
There you go. So, what is it that made you and everybody, I guess, that you talk to in your guild go so full tilt into Ashes? What's the big draw as a guild? I would say.
I'd say the biggest draw is, one, it is a PVX MMO that offers a little bit more than just like, we only focus on raiding, or we only focus on, war encounters. It offers a lot for everybody. And one of the things that really just drew us to it is just like the non-pay to win, the econ PVX kind of centric gameplay that it has to offer. A lot of us have played Arcade in the past before. And I mean, a lot of these systems that we're seeing in Ashes of Creation is like Arcade on drugs, on crack, right? It is improved, and it is anybody who's played Arcade knows, like, when you see it, you say, man, this game has so much potential. If it wasn't bogged down by the labor system and pay to win, that this would be a huge genre changing MMO. That's the words I'm looking for. But unfortunately, Arcade, the developers and their company were focused on other things, and the game ended up not just living up to its full potential. And I think that's where Ashes is really going to set itself apart from a lot of these other MMOs, and just kind of what really brought us into it. Like I said, the PvX system, the focus on open world, the content, offering a game that has progressive rating and guild wars and kind of that ownership, as well as that robust player economy. It's just something that it checks all the boxes, right? For most MMO players, Ashes of Creation, checks all the boxes. So yeah, we're really excited to get into that.
It does, and there's not enough that can be said about someone who has just loved playing games for so long and decided, I'm just going to make a game and I'm not going to go through a studio to do it. And hello there, Chaffee. How you doing? Accidentally bunnied the yellow team twice. Yeah, I told you it was random. And yeah, Chaffee donated a bunch of money, and yeah, yellow team got sent to the bunny pit twice.
I was part of yellow team. Yeah.
Is this for the extra
charity?
life? Yeah. Honestly, I had it up on the stream just to kind of give them another view, but I had to mute it. We were so deep in just wars, and right now we're playing New World, and we also have some guys playing, getting ready for Season Discovery, as well as ESO. So just been a little bit busy. I watched the live stream, threw some money in there, but yeah, for the most part, I had to give them a view. I was just a little bit busy with other projects.
Yeah, that happens, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, the Minecraft section, I normally am bored watching anybody play Minecraft, but I actually kind of had a ball this year. I was kind of hooked in. It's worth a watch, especially to see the bunny pit. The bunny pit was amazing.
Yeah, I'll probably have to take a look at that YouTube time.
And Chaffee, those resources did not go unthanked for sure. Or was not something that we were not grateful for. Unappreciated, thank you.
So hey, DA. So everybody always jokes about guild slogans and such. They're always thrown around in every guild out there. So I have to ask you, if your guild had a slogan and you were voicing the advertisement for it, like Mr. Movie Phone, what would this sound like? What would be the tagline for your guild, and how would it be said? Give us the voice.
You said it with the voice?
Yeah. Like,
I don't have a voice. I don't necessarily have a voice, but I can definitely give you the slogan. I would say the slogan that most resonates with a lot of our members is the blender blends. And I know you might say, like, what does that mean? There are so many games that we go into, and a lot of times you fight these other groups, and they get low on their HP. They don't trust their healers, and they either clump up and then try to disperse because they're scared, they're running for their lives, or they're just not committing to that fight. And 9 times out of 10, when you see that happen, it usually results in their death. And so a lot of these games that we play in, it's really when we are fighting players that are a little bit more afraid to play their lives, or they're just used to balling and running as a Zerg or whatnot, it's really easy to clump them up using like a grab whale or some type of whatever the game offers that pulls in clumps, and then just nuke them down with AoEs and on a choke and spin to win moves from your melee. So we just call that the blender. And I mean, there are times, like, I have clips that it's 20, 30, 40 of us against, up towards to like 75, 80 people, and we're just blendering them. They keep coming up in a little choke point, and we just keep spinning the spin to wins from our melee. We blow them up with our mages, and so we just call it the blender, and we tell everybody, look towards the blender blends, boys. And yeah, it's such a hype moment whenever you see like double your numbers just start, ding, 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 and you get that audio feedback and just like, the blender blends, boys, let's go. Right, yeah. So there is one statement that defines us is it's the blender blends. And my girlfriend is probably rolling her eyes in the background because I'm yelling it, and we're in a big PvP battle, and we're just blend them up, boys, blend them up, the blender blends, and she's just probably rolling her eyes, and we're just having time. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I know Chibi was gonna have a question. I know she was trying to ask one a moment ago, but I stomped on her. But just wanted to say the first thing that popped in mind when you said the blender blends is that old Flash game, like Shockwave, I guess it was, or Shock Player, whatever it was, that had a frog in a blender. And that's all it was literally a frog in a blender, and you push a button and it just smacks the frog around everywhere. That's the first thing I thought of.
It sounds familiar, but and I remember playing all those games on like eBum's World and some of those other little Flash sites and whatnot.
Yep, that's exactly where it was. I think eBum's World.
Yeah, yep. eBum's World. Yeah. Oh man, we're old, man. That takes me back. Using proxy websites and everything like that to get around like filters. Oh man.
So, with Alpha 2 coming up, what, if anything, is Enveus focusing on with Alpha? Like, is there anything that you're looking to test the most? Anything you're looking to work on, even as a guild, maybe?
Yeah, so the biggest focus in Alpha 2 is one, just kind of getting our players into groups. We've got a lot of preset groups that are going to be set up for going into Alpha 2. And the first part of Alpha 2 is just really going to be information collection and just kind of players getting accustomed to like how the game works, how the gameplay works. I believe that, excuse me, just had a little hiccup there. I believe that once players get into Alpha 2, it's going to be a very much a awakening for players and kind of the realization of what a true PBX / econ focused PvP game has to offer. And, having played pretty much every MMO under the sun, there are very few games that can really prepare you for what Ashes of Creation has to offer. And, a lot of times, like, we look at AOC and we're like, man, this is going to be our dream game. It checks all the boxes. But, in reality, a lot of that times is, a lot of loss, a lot of pain, a lot of, realizing like that wasn't the right way to go about something. And you learn from those mistakes. I'll never forget. I have played ArcAge many a times, and I have done the gearing, and I'm very. I would say like I'm not the most like professional ArcAge player, but I'm very knowledgeable of the game and whatnot, and I've had plenty of experience with it. And just going in, I remember it was me and one of my guys, as we were on a boat, and we were moving some cargo. He had to AFK, and I just took control of the boat. And some guys rode up on a speedboat beside us, jumped on, and ganked us, and took everything. And as I'm sitting in the water, floating dead, actually it was like 3 or 4 guys. They came up, they jumped us, they ganked us, and we ended up. He ended up dying because he was just AFK. And I'm sitting there in the water. He comes back. He's like, "What happened?" And we lost all our stuff, right? But as I'm sitting there floating in the water, my first reaction is like, oh, like I'm so mad. I hate this game. But then I think to myself, like, man, this is just ArcAge. Sometimes you just get got. And I think that people who are able to kind of just take that loss and say, all right, well, I just need to move on and get going, are going to be the people who really thrive at the game. And a lot of people, I just fear that might get caught up on that. Like, I just took a loss and like, I'm just so frustrated. And in the way these games work, you just got to understand that like sometimes you're gonna get got. It doesn't matter how good you are, how skilled your guild is. Like, everybody has a chance to get caught with their pants down, and you can't let that dissuade you from just enjoying the game as it is. But yeah, our main goal is going into Ashes of Creation, especially Alpha 2, is just establishing a presence, being an active with the node system, and testing even more everything that the game has to offer, from every little tooltip and weapons and combos to just building a meta for what we want for like our war comp, and then just participating in all the content that Intrepid throws to us. And that's one of the reasons why, excuse me, got a hiccups here today. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, good. They got
that's
me
one
earlier.
of the reasons. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're building such a large group. We also are under the understanding that drop off occurs. People say, hey, I played this for a month or two. I experienced everything that I had. I want to experience. I'm going to go do my other thing for the next couple of months until a new update comes out. Or you have those people who just realize, hey, like, this isn't the game for me. I'm just going to take this at a little bit more casual place, whatever it may be. And that's understandable. That's fine. We expect like a large drop off of players just due to either commitment to the game or just the game not being what they kind of envisions, or just wanting to wait until more content. And we still want to have an active force able to complete and be competitive, as well as hold down all that content and be able to do whatever it is Intrepid throws at us without having to worry about like, will we have enough people on? Or is there going to be so much contention that we have to rely on like half the server, things like that. So that's pretty much our plan going forward.
Yeah,
just most of all, just have fun, do testing.
Everyone's got their faults. Everyone's got their faults. They can leave Ashes if they want to. I mean, that's there's a lot to be said about actually experiencing a game and seeing if it is actually your cup of tea. And like you were saying, not everybody can survive that rogue gank from the bushes where half of your life drops before your eyes as soon as you get hit.
Yeah, for sure. I think another thing that's going to be kind of a quick learning lesson per se, is just that playing in groups, you're going to have to play with a group, going to have friends. A lot of these MMOs, they allow you to, be a solo, and there's nothing wrong with solo play, but it's having an understandability that not every content is geared towards every player. And I feel like a lot of MMOs try to gear everything towards like, if you want to be a solo player, you can do all of this as long as we build this within your confines. With Ashes Creation, I'm seeing the Caravan thing on stream right now, footage on stream right now. I'm like, that's just another thing, right? Like having your 8-man friends is probably going to be a good standard for running those like quick caravans from town to town. But for those long distances or during prime time, or if you're not running something at 4:00 in the morning at the heat of night, like you're going to need a little bit more than 8 people to find some friends. Or just come hire us and we'll defend the caravan.
There you go. Nice. I don't know. I think the ganking thing, it's gonna be a thing here as well for sure. But I have hopes that the corruption system is gonna make sure it stays as the exception and not the rule. Because those are the only games that I get upset about is things like WoW, where there's literally no penalty for just standing there and nuking newbies all day long. Like you can just sit there, not let them progress, kill other quest givers and all that. That's the stuff that stinks.
I think one of the two big things is Ashes of Creation is most likely going to have a heavy crime or criminal system. But I think that one of the different things that sets it apart from other MMOs that have such criminal system is Ashes of Creation gives the ability for those who want to PvP something to do. And what I mean by that is if you're a PvPer and you just like, hey, I want to PvP for the majority of my day, you have the ability to do that, right? You can go out and do caravans. You can go in the sea. There's a myriad of content for you to do that doesn't give you that corruption that falls in the borders or the parameters of like organized or like structured PvP that they want to offer to their game. And you really don't see that a lot. And so that's why I feel like a lot of games turn to just like, well, I'm just going to go out and kill whoever I can because I just want to get some dopamine hits. I want to do some PvP. And it what's the name of that game? With the corruption, or not the corruption system, the caravan system, being able to take that risk and reward and move goods from town to town. Even me, myself, right? Like I consider myself primarily a PvP player, but I would say like I'm 70% PvP, 30% PvE when it comes to like raiding. Like I do enjoy good raids. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I do enjoy good raids. I do enjoy fighting down that dragon, taking down that epic world boss. I enjoy a lot of that stuff. But for me, it's kind of like, once I get those fights out of the done, once I've learned the mechanics and kind of conquered that fight, I kind of want to just go back to PvP and kind of taking that gear and whatnot. And one of the beautiful things about Ashes and like the caravan system and the naval system is it allows a player like myself who wants to primarily focus on PvP avenues to make money and still stay competitive in that monetary game department without having to kind of go too much outside of what we want to do in content. And the reason that I feel like that's a really good thing is because in a lot of these games, you know, if you are a primary, a raider, or a PvE player, you are allowed to kind of stay in your, you know, you're part of the sandbox, and you don't have to deviate too far out of that realm. Some games kind of like, you know, they try to push you a little bit and they say you want to, but you don't have to. But everybody else has their little cut of the sandbox that they can play in, and they don't always really have to venture out too much far out of those barriers to just be competitive or just, you know, enjoy the gameplay. But in a lot of games, when it comes to a PvP player, it's like, well, I mean, you have your cut of the sandbox, but you have to go play with everybody else. Otherwise, just sorry. Yeah, so it's frustrating for some people.
Go dig up some other G.I. Joes in the other corner over there.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
I think, by the way, to get rid of those hiccups, you should totally just try and stand on your head real quick. Maybe that gets rid of it.
I don't know if I'm that flexible. I'm getting a little older in the years. You know, I still got the beautiful youth, but standing on my head,
Oh, okay. There goes the comedic relief for the podcast. Womp womp. Right. Hey, so let's say we move into some topics and stuff here. So as a guest, did you see anything in here that especially caught your interest or made you kind of go, I wonder?
As a guest did anything?
As in the guest on the podcast? Oh, so as in guest choice?
I enjoy the thematic setup that you guys have. I love my head in a little crystal ball here. I keep trying not to play with it as far as my camera position, but I kind of find myself doing. But I really love the setup that you guys have here and the whole like tavern thing. It's really cool. And I watch you guys all the time. I might not always be able to tune in, but like, one of the things that I'm very big about is just supporting content creators. And there's a lot of times where, you know, even if I can't participate in chats or listen, if I see somebody go live that I'm just like, oh, that's my boy Vortec. Like, I got him. I pop you up on another screen, I mute the site, and then I go back to whatever game I'm playing. And it's just like, you know, I just want to do my part to support, even if I can't be there. Because like a lot of times I'm just busy with other operations and I don't have time to sit there and watch a stream. But like, you guys, there's a couple of podcasts that I watch.
I always have probably like four or five people just up. I may not be interacting with them necessarily, but I'm trying to give them the lurk, you know? I'll pop in once in a while and say, hey, and I'll be back later maybe, but I gotta run. But then my computer just sits there without me in the seat, just running 5 streams at a time. But yeah, so any of the stuff, any of the topics here catch your attention? Or is it back to dealer's choice?
It's dealer's choice. I actually like all of them. I read through them whenever you sent me that document. So like, I mean, we can go through one by one. I'm fine. I'm great. I'm happy.
All right, well, I'd say we covered some combat stuff then. So let's jump into some other topics and we'll circle right back around to combat once more. So, node governance. Somebody actually was talking about, hey, as a mayor, your adventuring days would be numbered. And they even brought up a topic, do good sword swingers make good logistics people? Like, just because somebody can dominate in PvP and win, say, the military node mayorship, does that mean they're going to make a good mayor? And if they do, does that mean their adventuring time and going out and doing stuff is going to kind of come to an end because they have so much stuff to run for the city?
That's actually a very good question. One of the things that I kind of talk about with my community and a little bit of, I wouldn't say a worry, but just something that kind of lives a little bit rent-free in my head is the complexity for the sake of being complex. And I feel like what we've seen with that node system is a very good start. I think that it adds a lot of complexity, but from some of their other systems, it really feels like it's just like a little too complex for what it is. Like, you know, take their smelting system, for example. There's like, you know, 6 different types of fuel types, and like you need to get, depending on what you're crafting, you need the fuel or the heat the kiln at a certain level of heat. And like, that all sounds great. And, you know, on paper, that sounds wonderful, but what does that look like in game, right? What is that? turn into something to where I'm constantly doing chores because I got to go up north to get the yak glue. And before I can even make the sword with the yak glue, I have to go take the yak glue from the north to the east to, synthesize it into yak paste. And then I take the paste and then burn that paste in the kiln. And then, I get the bar to 3 out of 4 bars and I'm right there on the line and I have to go get some, Elmer's glue to get it over, because it's tier 3 to get it over that threshold. And there's, again, I know there's a lot of crafters who like that type of who like that type of immersive crafting gameplay, but I just worry about your average, player who wants to come in and kind of dip into that system and is a little bit too convoluted, which is something that we kind of also see in ArcAge. Very much a fun, in-depth game, but for new players who are coming in, who are coming in and haven't played in the past, it's very much a monumental, just oh my god, where do I even start, because there's just so much to it. And so that's a little bit of a concern, especially with the mayoral system, and how in depth you could break the towns. I really liked how you can do things you can build certain buildings, and then Stephen talked about certain systems, buildings that you can build to have things effects on things like horses that can go down cliffs, or things that affect your caravan. And again, I think that's really good. I think that's going to add a lot of variety to nodes. But, like I said, in the long run, does that add complexity for the sake of complexity, or is it a little too complex? Lastly, I think what they've done with the node system, and in terms of how diverse you can build out your node, not just the 4 metropolises or the 4 biggest towns that become metropolis, but even those smaller cities and villages and towns, how you can build those out in terms of specialization is a very good feature. And I almost want to say that with that level of specialization, you don't really need node types. I know that's a big thing, that a pillar that people have talked about from the beginning, but towns are already going to be so diverse with what we've seen that it doesn't really make sense to have a quote unquote node superpower. But we're this late in development. It's Steven's game, so it is what it is. I'm going to take it or leave it.
There. I just want to see a military node specializing in crafting.
Yeah. Those legendary items. That's one of the things that when I was kind of theory crafting their military nodes, maybe they have the legendary forges there, and where you craft some the best legendary stuff, but who knows?
Sorry, Chibi, you were saying?
For me, I was gonna say it kind of depends on the node, and the type of node. I know we have econ nodes and we have military nodes, etc. I feel like, quote unquote, the best sword swinger, making a good logistic person for a node would come down to the type. So for example, we look at real life military things, and historically some of the better military types were the ones that could, that knew how to swing swords and things like that, but they were also capable of planning and strategizing out different options and had fallback plans that some other people weren't so great at. And I think that kind of shows itself through the different things. So for econ, I could see somebody who's really good at doing economy things, being a mayor of an econ node, and somebody who's really good at going back to the military thing, who's really good at PvP and planning and strategizing that stuff, being the mayor of that type of node. And it's, I feel like, a little too hard to say a cookie cutter type of person should be the mayor of each node, because each node is specializing in something different, and that would be a huge oversight to the type of node if you just let every single type of node mayor be the same type of person. You kind of end up not fulfilling the benefits of the individual node types in that manner. You kind of overlook their unique options that they give, I think.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, welcome in, by the way, everybody. I saw a Thogli, I saw a Sir Onsington, I saw a Sneckers, who says, by the way, who the F is
Sneckers
DA?
knows who I am. Don't come here with that. What's
Yeah.
up, man?
And,
He does that every time.
yeah, absolutely. Who is this person?
and then
And,
Goldwood too.
Yeah, go it.
Osington, what's up, buddy? I haven't talked to you
Steffi
in a
says,
minute.
yeah, we love us some Onsington around here. But yeah, Chaffee says if they're going to have an economic city node system, the crafting should be in depth. This is true, friend. I was just saying I want to see a military node specializing in crafting, just because it actually leads into my view of, I think it would be weird anyway if there were, say, someone who focuses on econ stuff that just goes over to a military node to try to become a mayor, and they just focus on PvP long enough to do that. But yeah, most of their time is actually spent doing econ things, so they should have just went after an econ node instead. And then next thing you know, they're focusing on all the stuff that a military node just doesn't care about. Like, why do we care about that? No, give us this and give us that perk and that perk. Why did you decide to change taxes on this instead of doing this other thing? So
And I mean, that's... Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
yeah, I
off.
think somebody with a supportive guild to help out and actually get them into things, and so that they don't have to spend their time looking for events and organizing anything. So their guild just says, hey, we got this thing going on, we already got it set up, just get over here. They'll be able to spend a decent amount of time doing, the things they're interested in.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that really draws people into Ashes of Creation, is that freedom to do kind of what you want, as long as it's within the realm of like possibility and playing it within their lines. It's what draws a lot of people to Ashes of Creation. If you want to be a raider, you can do those hardcore dungeon bosses.
True story.
You can do that.
True story. So speaking of doing what you like to do and all this and that, and talking about crafting, vendors. There was a post someone was talking about, and I don't think it's set right now to be able to do so, but they were asking a question on if player stalls, not the freehold business buildings, but player stalls where you can set up, within a node or out in the wild, if they should have, they called them accessibility settings, but I think it's just access denial mainly, of being able to say, hey, my rival guild can't buy anything from me, or this one other person can't buy anything from me because they'll buy at my low prices and they'll resell them at a higher rate and that type of thing. Do you think that's something I should do, or do you think that would end up being bad for like a free market type setup?
I mean, I honestly like, and I try to shy away from systems that don't allow the player to have that kind of like flexibility or control over what they're doing. I've played other games where they've had kind of like a bizarre system, what it's called in other games, and I think you should absolutely have the tools. If somebody's griefing you and ganking you in the open world, and you're like, "Well, I just crafted a holy sword, but I don't want that, I don't want that person, asshole, excuse my language, to get the sword." And no, that sword is you're not. I'm not selling it to you. Same way for even in my guild, right? We have items that drop within guild, and we're like, that's base. We're not selling that to anybody outside of the guild. But if you want it, sure, throw it up in a stall, make a setting to where I can only sell it, if you can only be a guild member or somebody on an approved list to purchase it. But yeah, I mean, that's a common thing among a lot of like in-game guilds already. So it only makes sense to give that to a little bit and break that down at a lower level so that the players can have it, right? Again, that's a part of that social situation. If the best crafter for sword crafting is guys dropping bis swords and you've been ganking him all week, he absolutely should have the ability to put you on the blacklist. Now there is the possibility of just telling you, hey buddy, like I'm gonna give you the gold and just buy the sword for me. So there always is that loophole or workaround, but at the end of the day, it still adds more of that social situation to where you have to go out and find somebody that you trust to give you your gold. You have to go find somebody and it takes you out of the way. And it makes you, even though it might not be like a harsh consequence right now, it still makes you think, right? it makes you think about your actions and the consequences.
I'm just imagining random adventurer walking up to random stall to buy something, like lowering the visor on their helmet because they see a hand-drawn sketch in the back that says "Do not sell to this guy."
Yeah, or I mean, even an increased tax rate. Like, hey, if you're a part of X guild, you pay an increased tax rate. Now that gets a little bit more granular, and I'm not sure how much the devs are willing to put into kind of like the I'm not really sure how much work the devs are trying to put into kind of like sliders of that system, but yeah, I could definitely see.
And thank you for the resub there, Thogli. Much appreciated. And what do you think there, Chibi?
I think it's a little hard to say, honestly. Like, settings wise, I don't know. I feel like Steven would be all about that life, though. Like, if you can and you have the know-how to buy from a cheaper price to resell at a higher price, then that's the risk that you take by buying the cheaper price to then try to sell at a higher price. But I mean, it's one of those, if they built it in, sure. If it was like player driven specifically, like if you were the one that were able to choose all of that and they just gave you the tool. But I don't know, going out of their way to make a tool, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This is not the hill that I choose to die over. But
yeah,
something nice. But if it doesn't, like, I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah, I'm really for player agency, like Thogli said.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I don't know if you saw, but Oracle and Chaffee are talking about Final Fantasy 14 and guild crafting and whatnot. So Chaffee says, Oracle says, I think different professions need to be tied to specific node types. And then Chaffee says, I kind of hope that they go towards Final Fantasy 14 route where they did group crafting for guilds to build airships.
It's been a while
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's been a while. I didn't know that was a thing either. But I played games like other games in the past where you could build like guild like starships or just like warships or whatever it may be. I think that's absolutely something. That's absolutely something that I want to see in Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, especially for those guild halls. I could see guilds needing to work together to craft certain things. But we're gonna have to work together anyway, regardless. It's not gonna be like Final Fantasy 14 where you can just be every profession and be every class.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I want us to be able to make guild caravan phalanxes, almost like the little hell machines in D&D with like the grinders up front to just mow down the trees in front of you, and then just nothing but armaments on the outside, and it's just consists of like 12 caravans bolted together. There we go.
That's funny.
They actually had something like that in Albion with some of their different siege and pack weapons and just mobile pack weapons, and I think that that's something that I think Ashes could really kind of copy, and it would work well in their favor, because I mean it adds to the crafting, it adds to the player agency, it adds to just like a little bit of everything. It shakes up the meta for combat, right? It's not all about just who can throw the most apes on a point and hopefully survive. It's a little bit of strategy and nuance to it. So big fan of it.
And I know I'm all about the player agency. I'm just, when it comes to the player stalls specifically, being able to set a whole lot of switches and knobs on who can and can't, to me that's kind of like I don't really care one way or the other. It'd be nice if it follows like a block list. Like if you block or ignore somebody in the game because they're an asshat or whatever, then they can't buy from your stalls because you're ignoring them and blocking them, right? That would make 100% sense, because then people wouldn't want to just troll around in chat and be a complete jerk. Like trolling can be fun. Keep it fun. Don't be the jerk troll. You get blocked, then you're just out of luck for buying anything from people.
Yeah.
Alright, so then I suppose we can move on into some combat stuff. Bum, bum, bum. Talking about caravan phalanxes and golf. Not Galwood. I saw the name and just read it right off the bat. But Chaffee saying that we see caravans attack guild castles from forest. Yeah. So, mercenary work. It's a topic long discussed. and long debated on what kind of mercenary stuff would go on. What if this is something you can share, or if it's something you've even talked about with the guild? Do you have any ideas for mercenary stuff that people haven't really talked about? Anything interesting or new, revolutionary, one might say?
So, when it comes to mercenaries, I think it's an interesting idea and concept. In my experience, what's the best way? Mercenaries are always a good thing. I like the idea of that you can hire mercenaries to defend your caravan, or hire mercenaries to fight, whatever it may be. The issue that I've seen in previous games, and like this doesn't have to be specific to Ashes, it might not even happen that way, but a lot of times what you see in some of these games is the players who like to play as mercenaries kind of gather around other players who are mercenaries. They kind of gather in mercenary guilds, right? And a lot of that gameplay, being in that mercenary guild, revolves around you getting paid to do a job that's needed of you, such as, so we take caravans in protection, for example, right? The issue with mercenary guilds is most of your kind of like cutting edge, we min-max gear, hard hitting guilds they're not mercenary guilds, because they're still so deep into so many other parts of content that they're gearing a lot faster, acquiring resources a lot faster, whatever it may be, right? And so when you pivot to that main focus on mercenary, a lot of times what happens is those mercenaries don't end up working out, because it's like, we're a 100-man mercenary guild and we all have decent, okay gear, right? But we're going up against a guild that has, 200, 150 mercenaries, people looking to swarm that caravan, and they're all cream of the crop gear. They all have been working together, and it's in their little party size in Ashes is 8-man. So they've been working together in their 8-man groups at the most highest level of content and wars or whatever it may be. So their coordination and their gameplay and their gear are usually far superior to what mercenary guilds have to offer. And again, this is not saying that this can't work out in Ashes or there won't be something contrary to that, but this is just going off of past experience in my games that have offered that mercenary role and that and that mercenary lifestyle for players. I will say that I would like to see Intrepid change up the militaristic permissions for, or the militaristic perks for that. I think being able to see corrupted players on the map is something that everybody should have, and not just militaristic, because that'll allow for a lot more of a lot more of those mercenary groups to kind of a little bit either form organically or be able to interact with players who are on other sides of the spectrum that might be great assets to their defense, but might not necessarily want to be in a mercenary first.
Yeah, I could see that. I think each node kind of needs to have their specialty to really draw people, though. So I can see your point on that, but I'm not sure because we don't know what a lot of the big benefits are, right? So we don't know if they're going to balance that out. But
and that's why I say that just going off past experience, Ashes of Creation could be a whole different experience from us.
Right. I'm gonna make a dwarf that's a self-serving mercenary. It's gonna be a cleric rogue. I'm gonna sneaky stabby, and then be like, oh, I can heal you for a gold.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make a funny. I actually have no idea what we're intending to do. I think maybe party up with mercenary guilds, but as our guild, I'm not sure.
We'll see what you do.
Side of the bridge, and you say you're on a hill.
You run with a small 3-person team, right? 2 people jump in and start beating someone, and you just run in and save the day, and you keep them alive. And you're like, hey, I can totally be a mercenary and keep you alive, right? I'll be your healer. That last healing will cost you 10 gold, please.
If you don't pay when you get to the bridge, we're going, into your caravan.
That's a nice health pool. Be a shame if something happened to it. But yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think you make a good point with the mercenary thing. And if you're spending your full time being a merc, then you're probably not working on your gear as much. But you could be making enough money on that to buy the best in slot crafted stuff too. And that could totally be a guild movie night. Escorting caravans all night long, just watching a movie.
I think that's what's really going to set Ashes of Creation apart from those other games. Is those other games have a lot of buying on pickup gear and materials and whatnot. And in Ashes, as long as you're playing and making your money, you don't have to go do that raid. You can just go buy something on the that's just a lot of auctions.
Yeah. I see. What's the system? I'm drawing a blank on it. What's the system where you go in with basically gold and you just kind of bid on everything, but like half the raid doesn't need anything; they're just there to make money, and the other half is there to get gear, and they just bring in like 100,000 gold, and they just bid on things with money, and it's split between everybody else.
I'm thinking. I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to my mind's trying to tell me DKP, but it's not what we're looking for. But I do know what you're talking about.
That I can see that being a big merc guild thing. Is literally just, all right, so that's all we're doing is we're just escorting people through dungeons and raids and getting them gear, and they pay us for doing that at the end. And people would probably love it because they're just trying to get recipes and to make money to pay for more recipe escorts.
My favorite thing about the caravans is just that it's that kind of like, I don't want to say low effort, but that content to where hey, I'm not, as long as I'm have my head on a swivel and I'm paying attention to my surroundings, I can kind of chill, listen to music, hang out, laugh with the boys in Discord about some dumb stuff, but as well as be active in doing something within the world. I'm not always having just 100% dopamine. All right, everybody here. This.
Everybody ready, set, go. All right, so we are. I know you have a hard cutoff at 8, so I think we're in speed run territory now. So,
I don't mind. I just have a little bit of a war to be at tonight, so I have to get there. But I'm down to speed run some topics and just gotta get through that.
Speaking of merkin people. So. Came up in one of the topics, somebody was talking about cooperative combat in AOC, and basically their suggestion was to do more stuff like that outside of just summoners joining forces to create one big summon. Fighters and tanks could interlock shields and do a little phalanx, lock it all together.
Shield wall or phalanx.
Shield wall, that type of thing. Exactly. So do you have any ideas on something else that could kind of work like that really well with any of the other classes? What would a group of, say, rangers do for cooperative combat?
Or
rogues?
Maybe it's just a very large rain of barrels. I can't remember that one movie where it was it was some old movie that came out in the mid 2000s, and I just remember they blackened out the sun because there was just so many arrows coming down. So, something like that is something I can see as a situation or as a group-oriented thing. It really just depends. I think there's a lot of things that Ashes of Creation could play with. I know they've talked about golem soul storms in the past, so it's not just a siege golem, but you can summon a giant phoenix or things like that. It's a cool system.
Snickers. No
I like it
this month.
Yeah. It's a cool system. I like it. I don't have anything off the top of my head that I could think of what I envision 8 fighters being in, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think what would be neat is if they could, if it was a cooperative combat thing. I don't know how they would make it happen, but it would be kind of neat if they almost did that, a fight circle type of thing. They would literally make it unpassable. You can't get out of the circle, and just everyone has their little sword that they're poking at somebody, and one person's able to actually take active combat. So it's just a wall of swords pointed in for 20 seconds or something.
You have to 1v1 that person inside the circle.
Yeah, just 1v1. If you bounce off the wall, you're getting stabbed.
The battle to the death, little mini battle. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Chibi, what do you think? Any ideas?
Not any super interesting. I was thinking a group of rogues could probably make like a shadow area, almost hard to see through.
Actually, that wouldn't be too terrible, because wasn't there talk about some kind of like a group stealth type of thing? What if they could make like an area of effect, just fuzzing of vision instead, and with just a group of them, they could make like a 30 or 40 yard wide bubble of just fuzzy. You can't really tell where anybody is. You just see that there are figures in there, but if you're doing any range combat, you're not really going to hit them if you're aiming for anything.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. New World actually had an ability like that previously during the alpha, where when you shoot the cloud arrow, this huge cloud of mist would envelop your screen, and you couldn't see anything if you walked into the cloud, but you would see if you were if it was somebody on your team who shot the cloud, you couldn't see anything, but you could see the red silhouettes of the enemy players through the crowd, and it was just really cool. And if you're an enemy, you're just walking through their blind until somebody runs up on you with an axe in your face. And by then, it's just like, already on you. It's too late.
All right. Hey, so somebody, by the way, made a nifty little video. They called it the Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 in 2024. Don't miss it. Best upcoming MMORPG. And they self-titled it, granted. But they called it the best Alpha 2 advertisement. And I thought it was kind of neat. So I'm gonna end up playing it here for everybody, because I thought it was neat. Maybe I got a little bit too entertained by it, but yeah, here you go.
Don't miss it all.
I like that.
I don't know why it tickled my funny bone so much, but it got me. It got me good. Yeah, it was by Mr. Bach. If anybody speaks Polish, that's his natural language, and that's what his channel is fully dedicated to, is Ashes of Creation. So definitely swing over and check it out. Should you speak said language? I do not, so I won't learn anything outside of these videos. Outside of that, there was a bit of a moment. Let me change this over. Okay, cool. Sorry, I had it on browser or window rather, so I had to make sure I could change it over before I kicked it over. There was, by the way, I wanted to bring up the results from the 24-hour charity stream with Intrepid, the little recap. Mainly just to show the, not that was totally mean. There we are. Where are you? Where did you go? I will get it. But either way, the donators for the entire stream, they actually listed out all of the top donors, which should be highlighted because they're amazing people and they gave so much stuff to kids. So yeah, we got Sneckers. Hey, who is that guy anyway? And then we had Otician and Trojan, and Music Master was a beast. And Chaffee, absolutely beast also, donating a lot during the Minecraft segment like we were. Made some incredible fun times happen. Simorg and Zephyrus and Dunehold, yeah, go Dwarf Power. And Fuyu and Blake Hagbird and F and Stickeno, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Mox Fox or Mofo, or yeah, probably Mofo, definitely. I like it. And then Chaos and Lace. So some names we definitely recognize. You are great people. Fantastic job. Just keep it up. Remember that the charity does great things for kids. So beautiful people, keep being beautiful. And
We definitely appreciate it.
yeah. Protect2 has bigger eyes.
Oh, no, I think because you may have been looking up above his eyebrow bone is quite low compared to my eyebrow bone, so it covers his eyes a lot.
Yeah, I also have my camera up higher, so it thinks I'm always squinting. But all right, so to keep you on your schedule there, friend, do you have any last words? Any last words?
No, I'm all excited for 2024. I think we're going to have a good time next year. I think we're going to have some really good streams coming up. I'm really excited to just really get our hands on that testing and get in and just finally seeing what Intrepid's been cooking over the past few years. Excuse me.
Yes. Same.
Alpha 2 Q1 confirmed. I hope so. I hope so.
We'll see, I suppose.
Alpha 2 2024. Don't miss it. But yes, thank you everybody for stopping in. DA, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for chatting. Much appreciated. Everybody in here in the chat contributing towards the discussion. We love you all. You could have been doing anything with your day today. Even making your own little Star Wars meme videos, because those are always a hit. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have anything you wanted to say on the way out there, TV?
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you everybody for joining and listening to us talk, and thank you for having me again. It's always a blast to be here. I even though it should be messaged me a couple months ago and I put it on my calendar, my phone didn't update me today, but I mean, like, the moment you guys reached out, I'm like, all right, well, we're doing it today. We're doing it live right now. Let's go. Yeah, I'm always happy to be here. I enjoy these little conversations, and I wish I had a little bit more time to talk. It's just a couple months ago I couldn't even imagine that. Having competitive wars going tonight, so yeah, it's just something I got to take care of tonight. But yeah, you guys all have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend, and don't drink too much. I'm gonna have a drink right now, but yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Just a heads up, we're not going to be here next week, but we'll be here the week after. So you guys enjoy your Turkey Day. It'll be Turkey Day here next week for us in the US. So Vertek and I are going to take a little bit of time to relax and enjoy ourselves. But we'll be catching up. For those of you on YouTube, we'll be catching up on our videos by the time you see this. You probably would have gotten all 3 of the other alerts. So thank you for your patience on that. Vertek left, and then I got sick, and yeah, so we're getting it done.
Yeah,
but let's right over to Vladis.
Trials.
Yes, yeah, a little bit. We're gonna right over to Vladis, who's starting his live stream, his podcast, in just a moment. So join us for that, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, everybody take care.
Thank you
very much.